ముందుగా ప్రియమైన విద్యార్థులకు మరియు వారి తల్లిదండ్రులకు నమస్కారం. నా పేరు కె వెంకన్న జూనియర్ కాలేజ్ చైర్మన్. నేను ఈ రోజు 10th క్లాస్ విద్యార్థులను దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని మాట్లాడడం జరుగుతుంది. అది ఏమిటనగా, మనందరికీ తెలుసు, గత 2 సంవత్సరాలుగా కరోనా కారణంగా విద్యార్థులు ఎటువంటి పరీక్షలు రాయకుండానే పై తరగతులు పంపడం జరుగుతుంది. ఫలితంగా ఐఐటి జేఈ మరియు నీట్ లాంటి జాతీయ స్థాయి పరీక్షలను సాధించడం కష్టతరం అవుతుంది. దీనిని అధిగమించడానికి మరియు 10వ తరగతి పరీక్షలో అత్యధిక మార్కులు సాధించడానికి నేను మీ ముందుకు కె వెంకన్న జూనియర్ కాలేజ్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ద్వారా అనుభవజ్ఞులైన అధ్యాపకులచే ఉచిత వీడియో క్లాసులు, హ్యాండ్ రిటన్ నోట్స్ మరియు గత ప్రశ్నపత్రాల సమాధానాల విశ్లేషణ ఇవ్వబడును. కాబట్టి నేను విద్యార్థులకు చెప్పదలుచుకున్నది ఏంటంటే, ఈ ఉచిత వీడియో క్లాసులను మరియు హ్యాండ్ రిటన్ నోట్స్లను క్లాస్ రూమ్ లో కూర్చొని చదువుకున్నంత సీరియస్ చదువుకోవాలను. ఇంకొకటి ఏమిటనగా, ఈ యొక్క క్లాసులు విన్న వెంటనే అర్థం చేసుకొని ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయవలను. ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయడం అంటే కేవలం చదవడం కాదు, పేపర్ మీద రాయవలను. అలాగైతే గుర్తుండిపోతుంది. దీంతో పాటు మీ యొక్క నాలెడ్జ్ ని పరీక్షించుకున్న కొరకు త్వరలో ప్రీ ఫైనల్ పరీక్షలు కూడా నిర్వహించబడు. ఈ యొక్క అవకాశాన్ని సద్వినియోగం చేసుకోవాలని 10th చదివే విద్యార్థులకు విజ్ఞప్తి చేస్తున్నాను.
Now we are done with the climate of India. Let's go, and as you said, there is a word called itinerary. What does it mean? Itinerary means once you start something till the end of it, the whole gist of it, when you have a clear picture, that is called as itinerary. So now let's have a gist of whole of the lesson as a key through points. When you're talking about the climate of the India, again I am emphasizing on this word exam point of view. Exam point of view, students, don't go into the depth of lesson and waste your time. Keeping only the exam point of view, you will have to study very smartly, do your work very smartly and very carefully. And so now it's the overall revision of the lesson. What we studied, what we taught till now is like when we get into the climate of India, what is it we'll have to focus on? We'll have to focus on the climate, the weather, climographs and the climatographs. I just forgot to tell this word, climograph. What is climograph? I said you about climograph, but I did not tell you about the climatographs. What is climograph? Average monthly values of maximum and minimum temperature, where we measure, that is called as a climograph. And what is climatograph? It is a pattern of the elements of the weather and climate for a particular place is shown when it comes in the form of the graphs or a picture. It is called as a climatograph. Go through these differences between these two are the ways how we can assess the climate and weather of a particular place. And what is a weather? Weather is a very short term effect, and climate is after assessment of prolonged periods of time of weather, we come to a conclusion about climate. This is the difference between the weather as well as the climate, and to assess these things we have climographs and as well as climatographs. And after that, what are the factors that influence weather and the climate we have come across, and that the 4 factors which influence this weather and climate are latitude, land water relationships, relief and under atmospheric location. This is as well we have studied. And the most important key point what we have studied is what this imaginary line which divides the globe into 2 equal parts. What is it called as? Equator. Any country which is near the equator, the more hotter areas. You move towards the equator, come down, the more colder areas. Always remember one thing very clear. What is the hottest area? The area which is near the equator, the imaginary line, you find it more hot, and the more far you go down from the imaginary line, your country is even more colder. So for example, you can quote the best example for the country which is near the imaginary line, near the equator, is Africa, which is considered to be pretty hot. Okay, so Africa is the country which is nearer the equator, and because of which it undergoes, it experiences a high humid climate and high amount of summer, and always it has very hotter climate. This is all we have studied. And after that, what did we go across? We went across a retreating monsoon. What was that? October to November. Very good. That was the very important topic, because we have different climates and seasons. But why is retreating monsoon very important? Because October to November we are from the shifting of the transition period from summers to winter, from hotness to cooling down, which is coming across. So that October to November, that specific period, that is called as retreating monsoon, where you find hot wets and dry winters, and that particular period is called as retreating monsoons. And we get even jet streams as well. We have focused on even jet streams as well. And now coming to the most important topic, global warming and its measures. What is global warming? Always remember, when somebody asks you define global warming, what is the first word of your definition should always quote on? Human activities is always the first word that will start with your definition of your global warming. Human activities contribute to the global. What is global warming? The warming or the disastrous effects because of the human activities which are contributing are always called as global warming. And what are the reasons for the global warming? There are two reasons: greenhouse gases effect, and the second thing is the greenhouse gas effect. The second thing is the industrial revolution. This is all what we have studied in the global warming, and we understood even the measures. How can we go through this global warming? How can we curtail? How can we avoid or minimize global warming? And after that, we have jumped to the anthropogenic global warming. This is none other than only where human activities, especially focusing on the industrial revolution. When you're talking about industrial revolution, then comes your anthropogenic global warming. The usage of the fossil fuels, because of the industrial development, when it contributes to the global warming, we call it as the anthropogenic global warming. And how do we come across, and what is the argument always between this developing countries and the developed countries? These are all the topics what we have discussed in our this is all the gist of the climate of India. Now, just the reason why emphasizing the only one more topic which you will have to focus on are the factors which influence the climatic conditions is one of the very important topic, and the most important topic is global warming. As already mentioned, all these points, what are the points which contribute to the global warming, we have studied here. The most two important points which contribute to the global warming are greenhouse gases effect, and the second one is the industrial revolution. And otherwise, global anthropogenic global warming, this is a very important topic wherein you have to revise it very well, because you have certain amount of 1 mark answers as well, which will come as well 2 marks as well as 4 mark answers will come across in this topic, global warming and its measures. He might ask you as 4 mark answers, he might ask you define global warming and what are the measures. Then you will have to write even define global warming and write the reasons for global warming, and then write the measures of the global warming. If he asks you as a 1 mark question, what is global warming? Define only global warming. Or even he might ask you for 2 marks questions, what are the reasons that attribute or contribute to the global warming? Write only those points wherein we are talking about the greenhouse gases effect and the industrial revolution. There you can add about anthropogenic global warming as well. And if I ask you for 2 marks question, how can you eradicate, how can you minimize global warming? Then focus on your afforestation, deforestation, minimal usage of your refrigerators and ACs. All these points you will have to elaborate and mention them in the measures to take to prevent or eradicate your global warming. You will have to say that we will have to stand against deforestation, and all the developed or developing countries, whatever they are, they should curtail the usage of the fossil fuels, contributing to the industrial revolution, but search for another alternative towards the industrial revolution. This is one of the topic which we covered in this global warming, a very important topic which has so many topics in that, right? And now the last topic, which was almost the last topic, was anthropogenic global warming. This is as well equally important. What is anthropogenic global warming? Anthropogenic global warming is nothing but where the activities contribute, the global warming activities are contributed based on the industrial revolution. You call it as your anthropogenic global warming, and there is always an agreement between the developed countries as well as the developing countries. This is a important topic. They might ask you, because they might question your reasoning powers or logical thinking. How do you think as a student? Should we go with what is argument between the developing countries as well as the developed countries? Developed countries, what do they say? They request developing countries to eradicate or minimize the usage of fossil fuels. But in the same way, what does developing countries say? Even already developed countries have precisely used the fossil fuels or anything for that industrial revolution. We want industrial revolution for the growth of the economy, for sure, but that should not affect our global warming in the long run. If that really affects our global warming in the race of getting onto the top or becoming developing countries or developed countries, then human race will not exist. The main intent of all these lessons to explain you all these topics is, I said the same thing and I want to say the same thing again. You are the future generation of the country. The reason why you are on the threshold of class 10, where you understand things better, you all are matured, intelligent and wonderful students. Obviously, this is a platform where you really understand stepping out of the world. So obviously, stepping out of your schools, you understand what are the intricacies happening. So please contribute yourself. Wherever you see somebody is cutting down the forest, please cutting down your plants or trees, please request them, humble request, please request them, not stop cutting down the trees, and in fact, ask them to, request them to contribute to the afforestation, or in vice versa. You all as well can plant a small tree. Today small sapling, probably tomorrow it might become a gigantic tree. These are the reasons why the climate in India changes. This lesson has been imbibed, instilled in class 10 of your social studies of your geography. And now coming back, I will write the important questions on your board, the generally expected questions from this lesson. I will pen down so that instead when I say it, it will roll down very fastly. So what will I do is, I will pen down the important questions from the exam point of view. And one more last thing. Till a couple of years we were having pandemic, and because of the pandemic situations and all the students get on pass. I understand that was very logical as well, because the students' life is at most more important than any other things. But right now we don't have two papers, we have only one paper, which is like paper 1, paper 2 has been clubbed and made only one paper. So obviously the lessons are minimized, and the lessons you check out with your class teachers, your subject teachers, what are the important lessons, focus on them, and the lessons what we are saying here right now are a part of the government instructions, the lessons what we are being told to tell, the same lessons we are telling as well here. Focus on these lessons very well, and I am right now giving you the important questions writing on the board. Please do focus on that, and please do study these questions very well without missing them.
Hello students, my name is Vishal Kumar Sharma and I did my BTech from IIT Kanpur. Right now I am associated with K. Venkana classes, and at K. Venkana classes we are bringing your IIT top Delhi faculties. I am an HOD of mathematics at K. Venkana classes. Okay. Now if you are choosing MPC, then you will have a chance to be taught under top Delhi faculties. If you are choosing BIPC as your subject, then you will have not only IIT faculties as well as a proper doctor teaching you. Similarly, we have if you are choosing MEC and CEC, so after second year for your CACPT exam, we have a very expert faculty specializing in CACPT. So what are you waiting for? Come and join KVC.
Students, the most important topics to be focused in this lesson are mentioned here. I will say this, I will not even throw a challenge that these are only topics which are going to come in the across in the exam, but these are very important from the exam point of view. If you focus on all these points, 90% of your lesson is being covered. If you are perfect in these topics, automatically you will be getting your 1 mark as well as 2 marks as well as a fill in the blanks from these topics only, because these topics are only the 90% of your lesson, the climate changes of India. So please go through this. The first important topic, what are the factors that influence the climate? With this you will understand all the factors, and the second thing is global warming, explain the factors which contribute to the global warming, and the third one being the measures, how can we minimize the global warming, and talking about your deforestation, how do they contribute to the global warming, or some other ways in which human action contributes to the global warming, or even you can talk about afforestation or retreat monsoon, or even your anthropogenic global warming. When you focus on all these topics, obviously your 1 mark answers like define low, refine, retreat monsoon, define afforestation, define deforestation, all these things are being covered in that only. Emphasize more on these topics because 90% of your syllabus is imbibed on all these topics. If you are good at all these topics, believe me, there will not be a single question you will not be able to attempt. So, I will not say that focus only on these questions, I am not saying that, but these are the important questions from the exam point of view. If you are good at these topics, you will be in a position to answer any question which is being asked from this lesson. I wish you all the best. Any questions which come from this topic, hope this video will really help you out for understanding the best part of the climate changes of India. Thank you.